Sunday mornings were my sanctuary. No alarms, no deadlines, just me, a cup of hazelnut coffee, and the soft hum of city traffic outside my window. But that peace shattered the moment my phone buzzed with Mom and Dad calling. I hesitated before answering. They rarely called unless something was wrong or expensive. "Sweetheart," Mom's voice rang with unnatural cheer. "Guess what? We have wonderful news." Dad's baritone followed, full of excitement. "Your mother and I are finally doing it, our 40th wedding anniversary celebration. A luxury Caribbean cruise, 7 days of pure paradise." I smiled, imagining their joy. "That's amazing. Who's organizing it?" A pause. Then Mom replied almost too casually, "Well, you, of course. You make the most out of all of us, so it's only fair you handle it." I blinked, unsure I'd heard right. "Wait, me handle it how?" Dad chuckled. "Oh, come on, Ava. It's about 60,000 in total. A small price for 40 years of marriage, don't you think? You've been so successful lately." My stomach sank. $60,000. Dad, that's not a small price. That's insane. Mom's tone shifted from bright to disappointed in seconds. "Ava, don't be dramatic. You make more than enough. It's not like Ethan can contribute. He's still figuring things out." "Of course." Ethan, my younger brother, the family golden boy. He was 30, jobless, and living rent, free in my parents' guest house. But to them, he was just finding his path. Meanwhile, I'd been working non-stop since college, paying off loans, saving carefully, and still hearing about how I should help out more. "I really can't afford that," I said firmly, though my voice trembled. "My savings are for a down payment on a house," Mom interrupted. "You'll have time for that later, but this is a a lifetime celebration. You can't put a price on family love, family love." The irony stung. They'd forgotten my birthday twice, skipped my graduation because Ethan had a soccer tournament. The last time I was sick, Mom sent me a text that said, "Feel better soon. Don't forget to transfer money for your dad's new tires." But somehow I was selfish. "Mom, I'm sorry, but I can't do this." A long silence, then Dad sighed, heavy and disappointed. "We didn't raise you to be ungrateful. Ethan may not earn much, but at least he knows the value of family." The words burned. They always used Ethan as a weapon when I pushed back. After hanging up, I sat in silence, staring at the coffee gone cold in my hands. For years, I'd convinced myself that their small requests, the loans, the help, were acts of love. That if I kept giving, eventually they'd see me as more than a source of income. But that morning, the illusion cracked. They didn't see me as a daughter. They saw me as their safety net, their personal ATM. Later that evening, a family group message popped up. "Save the date, 40th anniversary cruise sponsored by our wonderful daughter, Ava." I stared at the words until they blurred. Sponsored, not loved, not honored, sponsored. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Maybe it was anger, maybe heartbreak, or maybe both. But beneath the hurt, a quiet resolve began to take shape. If they wanted to assume I'd pay for everything, perhaps it was time they learned what assumptions really cost. And this time, the bill wouldn't be mine. For the first time in my life, I ignored my parents' calls for a full week. Each missed call sat on my screen like a pebble in my shoe, small but impossible to ignore. Guilt tugged at me, the kind they'd spent a lifetime teaching me to carry. But I forced myself to leave the phone face down, volume off. It wasn't until the following Friday that Mom finally sent a message. "I hope you're done sulking. We've already told everyone you're sponsoring the anniversary. Don't make this embarrassing for us." Embarrassing for us. Not hard for you, not we appreciate you. Just embarrassing for us. That was my mother, image above all else. Growing up, she made our family look perfect, even when everything behind the curtains was cracking. As I reread her text, memories began to surface, like the time I was 14 and wanted to go on a school trip. She said we couldn't afford it, but 2 weeks later, Ethan got a brand new bike. Or the year I got accepted to a private college, Dad told me, "You're independent, you'll figure it out." I took out loans and worked nights at a coffee shop. Ethan's tuition, though, paid in full. I had spent my whole life being the responsible one, while Ethan got to be adored simply for existing. And every time I brought it up, I was told I was being jealous or ungrateful. That was the family pattern. Ethan made mistakes. I fixed them. Ethan charmed, I paid, and now, even at 30, he was still the golden boy. He posted photos of his freelance hustle on social media, posing with a laptop at cafes, quoting motivational nonsense while asking me for a small loan every other month. The last straw came when I saw his latest post. "So proud of my sis for sponsoring Mom and Dad's dream anniversary. Family always comes first," read. I nearly dropped my phone. He hadn't even asked, just assumed I'd pay, like everyone else. That night I lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering when exactly I'd stopped being a daughter and started being their financial plan. Maybe it was after college when I got my first big job and Mom said, "Now you can finally give back." Maybe it was before that. Maybe I'd never been anything else. I could feel anger rising, thick and heavy in my chest. But beneath it was something sharper, resolve. I was tired of trying to earn love through sacrifice, tired of letting guilt make me small, and most of all, tired of being treated like I owed them something simply because I had made it. So I smiled the way I used to before a big project at work, calm, deliberate, and certain. If they wanted a sponsor, I'd give them one, just not in the way they expected. The next morning, I sent Mom a message. "I've been thinking about it. You're right. 40 years is a milestone. Let me handle everything." Her reply came seconds later, full of emojis and exclamation marks. "Oh, Ava, we knew you'd come around. You're such a blessing." A blessing? Right, she had no idea what kind of blessing was coming. For the next few days, I began collecting information. Cruise details, hotel reservations, vendor contacts, all under my name as she had requested. I played the role perfectly, cheerful, compliant, generous. But behind that polite smile, a plan was taking shape, one that would finally show them what it felt like to be taken for granted. They wanted to celebrate 40 years of love, fine. But I was going to celebrate something else entirely the moment I finally chose myself. And for once, I wasn't going to apologize for it. The following weeks, I became the daughter they always wanted, cheerful, accommodating, eager to please. Every call ended with Mom sighing, "I'm so glad you've come to your senses." Every text from Dad was some variation of "Proud of you, kiddo. You're finally repaying what we've done for you." Repaying, that word clung to me like a thorn. All those years of sacrifices, studying on scholarships, paying my own way, working overtime, and somehow I still owed them. So yes, I decided I'd repay them, just not in the way they expected. I started by gathering all the booking information Mom had sent me. She'd gone overboard, a premium suite on a 5-star Caribbean cruise, private dining, luxury spa add-ons, even a professional photographer to document the memories. The total came to just under $60,000. It wasn't just a vacation. It was a performance, proof to everyone that the Lees were successful, close, and loved. And they wanted me to foot the bill for their illusion. When the cruise company emailed me to finalize the payment, I made a different call to their cancellations department. "Unexpected circumstances," I said politely, "but please issue any refundable credits under my name." Within a week, the extravagant package was voided and a credit sat safely in my account. Instead of paying for their dream trip, I redirected my savings, and that credit towards something far more meaningful, a down payment on my dream townhouse, a place that would finally be mine. Meanwhile, I let my parents keep believing everything was proceeding smoothly. Mom called almost daily, thrilled by the idea of showing off. "Oh, Ava, your Aunt Susan is so impressed. She said you're such a devoted daughter. We're lucky to have you." "Of course, Mom," I'd reply sweetly. "You deserve the best." Even Ethan got in on it. "Thanks, sis." He texted, "You're saving me from hearing Dad complain about money again. You're a legend." I smiled at that. I'd save him from more than that soon enough. As the big day approached, their excitement grew. They posted countdowns online, gushing about their incredible daughter and the trip of a lifetime. The comments rolled in hearts, praise, envy, and I said nothing. The night before their supposed departure, I sent a final message to the cruise company. "Please confirm the cancellation has been processed." "Thank you." Then I packed my own suitcase, light, simple, purposeful. Inside it was a passport, a plane ticket to Greece, and a letter. The letter was for them. I left it on their porch early the next morning before driving to the airport. When they arrived at the port, dressed in coordinated outfits, cameras ready, they were met with polite confusion. Their reservation didn't exist. Their names weren't on any manifest. The cruise was fully booked, and the staff couldn't help them. By the time they realized what had happened, I was halfway across the Atlantic, sipping coffee at 30,000 feet. Later that day, my phone buzzed with a flurry of furious messages. "Ava, what did you do? This is beyond cruel. You humiliated us." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. In the letter I'd left behind, I'd written, "You taught me that family means giving without question. You were right, but not in the way you think. I gave and gave until there was nothing left of me. This trip was never mine to fund, and maybe now you'll understand what it feels like when love comes with a price tag. I hope this disappointment reminds you that love can't be bought, and neither can I." Then I signed it simply, Ava. As the plane touched down in Athens, I watched the sunrise over the sea and smiled. For the first time in my life, I wasn't anyone's provider, savior, or sponsor. I was just me. And that felt richer than $60,000 ever could. Athens was quiet in the early morning, the soft golden light spilling over the whitewashed buildings like a promise. I sat on the balcony of my small rental apartment, coffee in hand, watching the waves glimmer in the distance. The air smelled of salt and freedom, a stark contrast to the tension I had left behind. Back home, I knew my parents were reeling. The cancellation of the cruise had caused a flurry of calls, emails, and texts, most of them directed at me. "Why would you do this?" Mom's voicemail wailed. "Don't you care about your family?" I read the messages once, a few days after arriving, and then left them untouched. I didn't owe them a reply. Their disappointment was not my burden. Even Ethan reached out, a brief, awkward text that said, "Sis, I didn't think you'd actually do it. Not sure if I'm mad or impressed." I didn't respond. His confusion felt almost funny, though I reminded myself not to smile too much. Freedom had a bitter, sweet flavor. The first week was the hardest, not because of longing or homesickness, but because for the first time in years, I had to confront myself without their influence. My mind wandered over past sacrifices, countless times I had bent under their expectations, and all the ways I had tried to earn their approval. And then I realized something. I hadn't just taken back control of my finances, I had reclaimed my life. I spent the days exploring the city, wandering through narrow streets, tasting unfamiliar foods, and listening to the language roll off the lips of locals like music. It was a luxury I had never given myself before, a reminder that life could be experienced for me and not for anyone else's applause. Weeks passed and news of the cancelled anniversary trip reached extended family. Some were furious, condemning me as cruel and selfish. Others, more quietly, admired the courage it took to finally set boundaries. In that moment, I understood the difference between being responsible and being exploited. One could carry the weight of obligations willingly, the other carried it only because no one else would lift it. For too long, I had been the latter. One afternoon, as I signed papers for my new townhouse back home, a cozy place filled with light and promise, I smiled, thinking of the first night I would sleep there, free of parental expectations. I had invested not in a trip they would flaunt, but in a future I could call mine. The lessons I carried weren't just about money. They were about boundaries, self-respect, and love, the kind of love that doesn't demand repayment or gratitude. I had learned to prioritize myself without guilt, to celebrate milestones on my own terms, and to cherish relationships that were genuine rather than transactional. Occasionally, Mom and Dad reached out. Apologies trickled in through emails, their tone a mix of guilt and embarrassment. They admitted they hadn't realized the pressure they had placed on me. I read their messages, felt a flicker of something I couldn't quite name, perhaps pity, perhaps acknowledgement, and then moved on. I didn't need to forgive them to heal. By the end of the summer, I had built a new rhythm. Work that challenged me, friends who supported me, and mornings spent on balconies overlooking oceans, not their expectations. I was finally living life for myself. Sitting there one evening, watching the sun dip behind the hills, I whispered into the quiet, "Some assumptions break bonds, but they also build freedom." And for the first time, I truly felt it, the peace, the relief, and the quiet joy of knowing that I was no longer anyone's sponsor. I had funded my own happiness, my own dreams, and my own life, and in doing so, I had finally found a love that didn't come with a bill attached, the love I gave myself.